Welcome to the Carl Jackson Show. This is your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. One of the big stories this week and as of today is that Biden is struggling to function behind closed doors. This is I got to tell you, this is a little funny to me. It's a little odd because, frankly, I remember going back to 2020, I was making predictions that there's no way that Biden, if elected, could last in office for more than a year because I looked at his symptoms then. And listen, I'm not a doctor, but I've been around people, including family members that have Alzheimer's, that have dementia. And I can tell you, just looking at Biden, I'm like, every symptom that I saw with them, I saw with him. But now the mainstream media has decided that they are they're all of a sudden in tune with Biden's disorder. The guy has dementia. It's been absolutely clear for years, but now the mainstream media is hip to it. So this is what is being said. The Wall Street Journal came out with a piece today. The Daily Wire did a good job of summarizing it. So I'm just going to read a little bit from this and then comment on it because I find this absolutely fascinating. And let me just say this. Let me say this right from the get-go. A convicted felon and Donald Trump, all right, and that is the narrative that the left has been seeking. That's what they've been trying to do simply because they cannot face Donald Trump on an issue-by-issue basis. Biden cannot go heads up, if you will, against Donald Trump when it comes to policy, when it comes to issues. So what do they want to do? They want to sully Donald Trump's name. Donald Trump is a known quantity. Obviously, those of you that are watching this program, you know that didn't hurt Donald Trump, this latest conviction. He was able to raise $300 million. Now, he still isn't where he should be, in my opinion, when it comes to independence. But I do think that in the months leading up to the election, I believe, sadly so, that things are going to get worse. I think the economy is going to get worse. I think crime is going to get worse. And then I think more people are going to be looking at Joe Biden. As a matter of fact, I think his condition, actually, we all know that his condition is not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. And so I think Donald Trump is going to be able to make a clear comparison to voters out there. You can either have basically a dementia patient, or you can have a guy that's older too, but it is absolutely competent, has been in the office before, someone that is going to be good when it comes to foreign policy, someone that's going to be good when it comes to the economy, someone that's going to be good when it comes to the border. And we'll get to border issues. We'll get to the Hunter Biden laptop as well. All of these have been big stories this week. But I guess the news, the big story is that Biden is struggling, as if we didn't know it. Special counsel Robert Hur came out and said, "Hey, listen, I'm not going to prosecute him because he's mentally unfit." And then the news, mainstream media, and Democrats, oh, listen, why would he do such a thing? Why wouldn't he do such a thing? He has an obligation to tell us that we're not in safe hands with the president of the United States of America. So here's the summary. This from the Daily Wire. President Joe Biden is reportedly struggling to function during closed-door meetings with U.S. officials and lawmakers to the point where at times people have wondered if he was awake. The Wall Street Journal interviewed dozens of people, including Republicans and Democrats and some people that are inside of the White House. Now, you're already seeing narratives, or you have seen mainstream media, whether CNN, MSNBC, they're trying to make it sound as if this is only Republicans that are reporting on the fact that Joe Biden is slowing down. The report found that many had serious concerns about Biden's mental fitness on both sides of the aisle. All right. Their concerns match concerns that the overwhelming majority of voters have heading into the upcoming election following years of Biden making serious mental gaffes. And what the left wants you to do is they don't want you to believe your eyes. We can all see what's happening. We can all see what's when Biden is tripping upstairs, when he can barely get a sentence out. Guys, this is dangerous because it's not just us, obviously. This guy is the leader of the free world, the leader of the most powerful nation in the world. What is Putin thinking? What is Xi Jinping thinking? What are our allies thinking? What are our other adversaries thinking when they see Joe Biden? They see a man that's weak. They see a country that is in. I almost feel I hate to say this, but it's clear. They see a country that is in decline with a leader that's also declining right before our eyes, and they are licking their chops to take advantage of Joe Biden, to take advantage of the United States of America. Special Counsel Robert Hur, I believe that his hands were tied. I really do believe that. I really believe that this is a guy that perhaps wanted to prosecute Joe Biden, and as we know, and now apparently there's audio, there's audio out there of Joe Biden admitting that he had classified documents as the vice president, and he was using that material for his ghostwriter. There's audio of this stuff out there. So now Joe Biden, as a senator and as vice president, was not allowed to have classified information or take classified information home, documents home. He did so. It was clear that Special Counsel Robert Hur would have prosecuted him if he were not mentally fit. And again, I believe he was stifled by Merrick Garland. I believe he was stifled by Merrick Garland. I believe, now this is just me, but I believe that you have Jill Biden is playing a much larger role in the Biden White House than a lot of us want to believe. But when Special Counsel Robert Hur came out and said, listen, Biden was mishandling classified material, but we're not going to take him to trial because he's not mentally fit to stand trial, the Democrats went mad. They said that Special Counsel Robert Hur, they impugned his character, and they blamed Joe Biden's speech impediment, and we all know that that's not the case. There was a meeting that he had, doesn't say with whom, over funding with Ukraine. So during a meeting earlier this year about providing funding to Ukraine, Biden reportedly, quote, paused for extended periods and sometimes closed his eyes for so long that some in the room wondered whether he had tuned out, close quote. Also, Biden apparently in that meeting tried to convince lawmakers that were in attendance and that were already sold on sending funding to Ukraine, that they should send funding to Ukraine. And everyone there were apparently bewildered because they were like, yeah, no kidding. That's why we're here. And when he did speak, those that were in attendance said you could barely speak. You could barely hear him. He would barely speak up. One person in attendance said you couldn't be there and not feel uncomfortable. Then you had Senator James Reich of Idaho said that when dealing with Biden behind closed doors, what you see on TV is what you get, quote unquote. These people who keep talking about what a dynamo he is behind closed doors, that's Karine Jean-Pierre. They need to get him out from behind closed doors because I didn't see it, he says. Speaker Mike Johnson, here's what he had to say. He said he offered Biden a list of executive actions that he could take for the border crisis that Biden caused when he entered office. And apparently Biden snapped at Speaker Mike Johnson and he said, and I quote, I've forgotten more about immigration than you'll ever know. And this is Biden's problem, right? Because I do believe there's times where perhaps he's lucid, but Biden, in my opinion, he was never the brightest bulb in the bunch, and he was never Lunchbox Joe. And I believe he's probably a cocky son of a gun. And so I've forgotten more about immigration than you'll ever know. So this is a guy that has dementia, in my opinion, that also has, he thinks he's tough. He thinks he's smart. He thinks that he's informed. He thinks that he knows more than you. And that's exactly what Speaker Johnson mentioned. In another meeting, during a meeting that followed the next month in February, Johnson brought up to Biden that his new policy that was halting liquefied natural gas from being exported to other countries would be damaging to the U.S. and would strengthen Vladimir Putin and the Russians for funding his, or to help him to fund his war against Ukraine. Biden reportedly responded by claiming that his new policy was only a study. So this guy didn't even realize the policy that he had set in place to stop the exportation of liquefied natural gas. He's not running the White House, folks. He's not there. He's not there. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said that when he dealt with Biden on negotiating to avoid a federal government shutdown, Biden, quote, would ramble, close quote, and was not able to negotiate. I used to meet with him when he was vice president. I'd go to his house. He said, he's not the same person, close quote. Guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? We've had presidents like Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant. We've had Teddy Roosevelt. We've had Ronald Reagan, Thomas Jefferson. We used to attract the best of the best when it came to the White House. And now we have Joe Biden. And America is in decline. Joe Biden is in decline. And now the reports are out. I don't know if this is being leaked all of a sudden because Democrats want to get rid of him because his polls are bad, despite the Trump's felony conviction. But it's not going to work. This is Carl Jackson. We'll be back. All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. If I could just add on to reasons why Biden doesn't measure up, despite or in addition to the fact that the Wall Street Journal is now reporting that even behind closed doors, Biden is struggling to function. And again, listen, we're all seeing this. I don't like to see it. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like him being president, but I don't like witnessing elderly abuse too. It's obvious that Joe Biden doesn't know what's happening all the time. It's clear as day. All right. It is so clear. But we've got to make a decision here coming November. Are we going to continue? Are we going to continue to be embarrassed on the world's stage by this president, Joseph Biden, or are we going to move on? My hope and prayer is that we move on. Just keep in mind, again, I mentioned names before: the great Ronald Reagan, Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, Teddy Roosevelt, George Washington, obviously, Thomas Jefferson, Dwight Eisenhower. Joe Biden? Joe Biden? I mean, and this is ridiculous. Just recently, his administration offered condolences for the butcher of Iran. This is absolutely astonishing to me. He claimed to be vice president. Joe Biden did during during the COVID-19 pandemic, when it started, when it was obvious that Trump was in office. He gave this bizarre marriage advice: marry a woman with a lot of sisters. Great job by the Daily Signal for documenting some of this stuff. He announced that a person being held hostage by Hamas terrorists since October 7th was in the crowd at an event. He stumbles up the stairs of Air Force One. He slips and falls on stage. He crashes bike while riding at a slow pace. These are some of the things. These are the things that the entire world is watching. He tells strange, inconsistent, and false stories about family members, like his uncle being a war hero and a cannibal. This guy isn't fit to serve. Frankly, I don't even think he was fit to serve when he was a senator, vice president of the United States, and now he's the president. And as far as I know, he wasn't battling with dementia symptoms then. I think if the debates actually do occur on June 27th, if former President Donald Trump can strike the right tone, because obviously you don't want to make the audience sympathetic to Joe Biden. You don't want him to feel sorry for the guy, even though the audience will. Trump is going to have to come out and just talk policy and help to remind the audience, the viewing audience, why he is better fit to serve and return to the White House. All right, guys, I want to move on from that. Now, the Hunter Biden laptop. Now, all of us, those of us that are in conservative media, we read Miranda Devine's story. We read other people that had written about the Hunter Biden laptop, and we saw pictures and all this kind of stuff. So we knew that it was real. The mainstream media is finding out that it was real, and not to mention there were 51 intelligence agency leaders, or formerly in the intelligence agencies, that said, listen, this Hunter Biden laptop this is Russia collusion, right? This reeks of Russian collusion. And they all knew they were lying. They all knew they were lying. As a matter of fact, we know that Secretary of State Anthony Blinken helped to organize that letter that said, listen, this Hunter Biden laptop is just a lie. As a matter of fact, there's an interview that Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes conducted with former President Donald Trump about the Hunter Biden laptop leading up to the 2020 election. Gabe, let's go ahead and roll that video. I want you to hear this. We knew what was going on. You know that Trump knew what was going on because he was the president of the United States, privy to information that we didn't have. And just with our public, watching public television, reading public commentary, reading journalists, we knew the Hunter Biden laptop was real. Here's what President Trump had to say to Leslie Stahl at the time.
This is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie.
You know what you told me a long time ago when I asked why you keep saying fake in the media?
Yeah.
You said to me, I say that because I need to discredit you so that when you say negative things about me, no one will believe
I don't have to discredit you.
But that's what you told me.
You've discredited yourself.
You told me that.
Leslie, you've discredited yourself. When you say that you're not going to cover Biden, you're going to ask him what flavor ice cream he has, okay?
That's not
Instead
me.
of why did Hunter get $3.5 million from Moscow? Instead of why is an energy company paying your son $183,000 a month or whatever they're paying him, and he has no experience in energy. You discredit yourself. I don't have to discredit you.
So this story about Hunter and his laptop, some repair shop found it. The source is Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani.
I don't know anything about that. I just know it's a laptop, and they haven't.
And you're making this one of the hottest, most important issues in your rallies.
It's a very important issue to find out whether or not a man's corrupt who's running for president, who's accepted money from China and from Ukraine and from Russia.
All these
I think
things
that's
have
an
been
important
investigated and
It's incredible the way you can try and say this and sit there and look me in the eye and say it.
A Republican
He accepted money,
committee.
his family, from Russia, from Ukraine, from China, and from other places.
And a
His
Republican-
brother, who didn't have experience, became a big builder in Iraq without experience. Take a look at what's going on, Leslie. And then you say that shouldn't be discussed.
I'm saying
It's the biggest scandal out there, Leslie, and you don't cover it.
because it can't be verified.
You want to talk
I'm
about
telling you.
insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course it can be verified. Excuse me,
We
they
cannot
found the
verify.
laptop. Leslie,
It can't be
Leslie,
verified.
what can't be verified?
The laptop.
Why do you say?
Okay, she's speaking to the president of the United States. It can't be verified. She's speaking. God, just wrap your head around this. At the time, she's speaking to the president of the United States, saying that it can't be verified, instead of asking him the process of verification. This is absolutely astonishing to me. And now Hunter Biden is sitting in a courtroom. We're a few days in Delaware, and guys, listen, I wouldn't be shocked if Hunter Biden gets off. I'm hoping that's not the case, but I simply would not be shocked because I don't believe that Lady Justice is blind when it comes to the Biden family. I believe that they've been able to get away with so much. Perhaps that's coming to an end. We'll have to wait and see. But I do believe the Biden administration are building the case for an appeal, even if Hunter Biden does get convicted. And frankly, I do believe that Joe Biden via Jill Biden. And yes, I do mean that. I really do believe that Joe Biden has a large part to play in the Biden White House. She's playing a much larger role, I suspect, than people would like to admit. I don't believe she's just ushering him around the White House. I believe in some part she's coordinating with some of Biden's administration and what to do. That is my belief. I can't prove that. That is simply my belief. But let's just let's just have some quick reminders. Here's some quick reminders of what happened or what's been revealed with the Hunter Biden laptop. We know from the Hunter Biden laptop of several crimes that he's committed. We also know that that laptop leads him back, or leads the media back, leads the Department of Justice back, would leave law enforcement back to the big guy. That is Joseph R. Biden. That's what this is all about. See, I'm not even as concerned about Hunter Biden. I'm not as concerned about the laptop. I just want justice to be fair. I want justice to be applied equally across the board. I believe that the Bidens have been able to skirt the law, but right now you have Hunter Biden in trial, 2 counts of false statements and 1 count of unlawful firearm possession. He could face up to 25 years in prison. I frankly think that's an insane amount of time for those charges, but nonetheless, hey, that you do the crime, I guess you do the time. Remember or recall that he was about to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax offenses, despite failing to pay $1.4 million when Judge Noreka called his team on it. They tried to walk into a federal courtroom. They wanted a plea deal that would defer any prosecution of federal crimes without, he didn't have to cooperate with the government. He was going to be able to avoid this gun charge, and the judge called his attorneys out on it. And then all of a sudden, she's like, "No, you're not going to be able to avoid future persecution," basically. And so Hunter Biden calls off the deal, which will probably be a mistake on his part. So it started to fall apart. And then you have these IRS whistleblowers that came out and alleged interference in their tax investigation by the DOJ that limited the scope of their investigation. And now we have Hunter Biden sitting in a courtroom today. Guys, if justice is blind, this guy will be convicted. But the sad reality is, I don't think it is. We'll be back.